Mariupol, eastern Ukraine. A massive military offensive by Russian forces in Ukraine's Mariupol region ended in abject failure after their combat convoy was destroyed by elite NATO forces led by U.S. special units. The incident occurred on Tuesday morning local time, when more than 30 Russian combat vehicles, including main battle tanks and BDRM-2 armored reconnaissance vehicles, entered the western zone of Mariupol in an attempt to retake the strategic region that has long been a point of fierce conflict. However, the convoy apparently walked into an area where traps had been set by elite American forces. A quick and coordinated counterattack was carried out by ground teams armed with Javelin anti-tank missiles, supported by a unit of U.S. AH-6 Little Bird light attack helicopters. The attack took place in 3 rapid waves, said Lieutenant Colonel James R. Hill, a spokesman for NATO's Joint Forces Command. We had identified enemy movements since the night before. Once they got inside the perimeter, we acted immediately. In less than 20 minutes, a large number of Russian combat vehicles were destroyed. Satellite images received by Frontline News show the wreckage of burning vehicles scattered along the main road of Mariupol's western sector. Initial reports suggest that at least 25 armored vehicles and 7 main tanks were completely destroyed. AH-6 helicopters reportedly fired Hydra missiles and destroyed 3 vehicles in one pass. The Russian military has yet to make an official statement, but independent sources from inside the region say there was panic in the command line due to communication breakdowns during the operation. According to military analysts from Eastern Europe, this failure is a heavy blow for Russia, especially amid mounting international pressure. The victory of NATO forces in Mariupol demonstrated the high effectiveness of intelligence work and cross-matrix combat capabilities. This is not just a tactical victory, said Dr. Elena Voronova, a military analyst from the Warsaw Institute. It's a signal that NATO forces can move with precision and destroy enemy forces without losing a single personnel. Meanwhile, on the now relatively calm Mariupol side, operations to search for remaining mines and clear the combat area are still underway. According to the official report of NATO's Joint Forces Command, a Russian convoy of dozens of heavy combat vehicles was completely destroyed by elite U.S. forces. The operation that took place on Tuesday morning is claimed to be one of the deadliest counterattacks since the conflict broke out again in Mariupol earlier this year. With the support of one AH-6 Little Bird light attack helicopter, U.S. ground forces armed with Javelin missiles managed to destroy more than 30 vehicles, including 7 main tanks and a number of Russian BDRM-2s. No casualties were reported from the NATO side in the operation. Meanwhile, on the Russian side, casualties and material losses are still being verified, but are believed to be significant. According to military observers, NATO's success in Mariupol is strong evidence that technological and strategic dominance is still key on the modern battlefield. Russia seems overconfident, but NATO is playing on a different level. They control the time, location, and tempo of the battle with great precision. This victory may not be the end of the conflict in Mariupol, but it certainly marks a major turning point. We will continue to monitor the situation on the front lines and bring you updates as soon as possible. Mariupol, the city that never truly emerged from the shadow of war. On the morning of April 12, 2025, Russian forces launched a large-scale ground operation. Their goal was clear: to retake the western sector of Mariupol. More than 30 combat vehicles, including tanks and BDRM-2s, were deployed in a long convoy. Unbeknownst to them, however, NATO's eyes had already seen everything. In the ruins of the city, elite U.S. forces were standing by, silent, unmoving, waiting for the right moment. As the convoy entered the strike zone, hell broke loose. Javelin missiles struck one after another. From the air, AH-6 Little Birds came like a shadow of death. With celestial precision, Hydra missiles destroyed 3 vehicles in a matter of seconds. No place was safe. Russian communications were chaotic. The retreat was uncoordinated. Dozens of vehicles were burned. Many did not even have time to return fire. The operation, designed to be a decisive blow, ended in utter disaster. In an attack that lasted less than 20 minutes, the Russians lost vehicles, morale, and momentum. NATO lost not a single soldier. Mariupol once again witnessed that superiority is not just about numbers. It is about who can control time, terrain, and mines. Russian offensive fails. Mariupol, April 2025. The Russians came to Mariupol, as usual, with a display of scrap metal and overconfidence. Their tanks rattled in. Those old BDR-M2s, they still had them, as if the war of 2025 was still in 1980. Unfortunately, they were not facing guerrillas armed with old AKs. They were facing elite American soldiers, troops who not only fight, but hunt. One by one, Russian vehicles were turned into burning museum pieces. And from the sky came the deadly little bird, the AH-6 Little Bird. Small, fast, and bloodthirsty. In no time, dozens of enemy vehicles were reduced to rubble. They said, "We will take Mariupol today." What they got? A painful lesson in tactics, precision, and shame. Zero casualty from NATO. As for Russia, well, you can see for yourself. Mariupol stands, but what has collapsed is Moscow's ego. Meanwhile, Russian media said, under the gray skies of Mariupol, the soldiers of the motherland are again marching. Not with fear, but with honor. Russia did not come to fight for destruction, but to liberate territories long occupied by foreign powers. But behind the ruins, NATO troops greeted them with cowardly tactics, hiding, attacking from the shadows, luring them like rats afraid of open war. A single AH-6 helicopter and its modern anti-tank weapons did manage to create temporary chaos. But courage is not destroyed by explosions. Spirit is not extinguished by fire. Russian troops are retreating not because they have been defeated, but because we consider the lives of soldiers more valuable than the illusion of a quick victory. And to the world, we say, victory is not measured by how many tanks are burned, but by who is left standing at the end of the war. Today, NATO may feel victorious, but tomorrow, history will record who fought for their land and who came to bring destruction from afar. The debate ensued. On the morning of April 12, 2025, Russia tried to retake Mariupol. They came with dozens of combat vehicles, but they forgot one thing. The territory was already under surveillance. Russia did not try. We carried out a liberation operation to expel foreign forces from the Slavic lands. Our troops advanced with honor, not hiding behind drones. The results are clear. More than 30 Russian vehicles were destroyed. Tanks burned, convoys collapsed. An AH-6 Little Bird and a Javelin missile ended it all, without a single casualty on our side. We retreated without defeat. We saved the lives of our soldiers. NATO calls that a victory? We call it cowardly tactics, shooting from a distance, then claiming to be heroes. It wasn't cowardice, it was precision. We fought with technology, intelligence, and accuracy. Russia brought scrap metal. We brought the future. But the future cannot erase the spirit. In Mariupol, people know who came to fight and who came for the image in the Western news. Image. We only show the reality. The ruins of Russian vehicles speak louder than propaganda. And the graves of foreign mercenaries will speak louder when we return. Mariupol is not just a city, but a stage for truth and lies, victory or propaganda. Time will tell. Who won in Mariupol? It depends on who you believe. On the battlefield, narratives are sometimes sharper than bullets. This is their version of war. I, Delta Trigger, would like to say thank you for listening to today's story. Don't forget to subscribe and press the bell button so you don't miss other interesting war stories. And of course, add insight for all of us. I, Delta Trigger. Goodbye. See you in the next video.